Pressing buttons. All right. Good evening, everyone. How we doing? Everybody good?
Doing all right.
Perfect. Cool, cool, cool.
Doing wonderfully.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah,
Hey, Matthew,
so say again.
how are you?
You know, enjoying this beautiful day we have for real. Like I was kind of disappointed I had work to do. Like I almost took my laptop outside, but I need my three screens because I'm spoiled like that.
Talk about first world problems.
First world problems for real.
Exactly.
Hey,
Until I invest in that portable screen thing.
Portable screens, yes.
Yes, it's on my wish list. So if you was wondering what to ever get me, you know that
Portable screens.
portable screens. But
portable screens.
all right. For those who don't know who we are Black Trans Men of Ohio, BTMO. We are a collection of Black trans masculine people who seek to increase the visibility, equity, in of all Black trans masculine individuals throughout the community, throughout Ohio, by community building, mentorship, and providing resources. Let's start off with introductions. Me, I'm Chris. He, him. I do identify as a trans masculine individual. Uh, And then also, before I pass it along, we have an icebreaker tonight. That icebreaker question is going to be, what three Black leaders would you invite as a guest at your dinner table? We had to pick something in light of Black History Month, right? Happy Black History Month, everybody, if we ain't said that already. Um,
Okay, so
so since I'll go first. I wrote it down because thought I'd be smart. My three is James Baldwin, Mansa Musa, and Kimberly W. Crenshaw. Those are my three that I've chose. And
Hmm.
guess we can go in alphabetical order. So Chauncey.
like which part of the alphabet you choosing?
I don't even. I was gonna say because that
First
could go
name.
either way. Right?
First name. First
That
name.
could go
First
either way.
name.
Right?
First name.
Um. Good evening, guys. My name is Chauncey. Chauncey Cornaby, Vice President for Black Trans Men of Ohio. My pronouns are he, him, and the three Black leaders that I would um, invite as a guest to my dinner table. That's I wish you given me more time to think about this one, but I tell you what, I'll stick with. I'll make it pretty simple. I'm gonna go with Malcolm X, Marsha P. Johnson, and the Most High. So,
Okay.
and if we go with what the Bible says, we know. Well, it talks about Jesus, but we know that the depiction of what we see are not the correct version of who Jesus is. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. Okay. All right, Eric, your turn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey y'all, it's me, Eric. Treasurer. um, gosh, this was a research paper that I needed to do before we got
Just so you know,
here. So I'm gonna pick. Let's see. I actually have one. I only have the one that I know, like specifically. That when you asked the question, I was like, okay, definitely this person. I had to go look up their name because I couldn't remember. Huey P. Newton. Is that my dude's name? Um,
that is my dude's name.
founder of the Black Panther Party.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um, to my understanding, and the reason that I vibe with him as a person, part of his work was unifying communities. Um, and I really like the idea of being able to go into different communities, whether the Black community, the Hispanic community, Asian communities, and being able to relate to people and bring them into like a global understanding, a more worldwide understanding of, like, yeah, we have our differences, but we need to work together as a community to move and shift certain ideals that are being perpetuated in our everyday outward society that don't cater or even think about our cultures at all whatsoever. Um, and that was the idea of what I got from what he was doing, like this general idea of like, okay, we can be different, but we need to unify in these ways in order to support the growth of us as a totality. Um,
Mhm.
because if we're all focused on our individual communities too much, your vision gets very narrow, and then you don't want to expand past that. So I'm not going to name more because that includes more talking.
Well, thank you. I guess that fills in for you only having the one, so that was good because we got to break down explanation. Appreciate that. You balance. Yes, sir.
I'll just say I will let you guys know in one of these future lives, I'm probably going to circle back to this after I've had time to think about it because he definitely sprung an essay question on us. Didn't
I
he?
just
Got
said
us. Got
I
us.
just
Got us.
I
And the
didn't.
Virgo in me is not going to let that go because
I'm at the
this
350
is a
word
well
minimum,
question
right?
and I don't have a without answer. So we gonna rock with this. Just know we spin in the block on this one. Though.
Maybe you can do a live later and share it on our Instagram or something.
Hey,
There you go.
Look,
maybe
look,
we'll see.
look. See, bam, ideas. All right, cool, cool, cool. So tonight's topic is if everybody knows the feeling the current climate of Ohio. It might be warm outside, but it's cold for us trans folks right now in real life because they coming for us. And I don't know why or what I did wrong, but I'm a nice guy last time I checked, but I guess I'm the only one that thinks that. I don't know. But anywho, so I kind of wanted this to so I know there's been a few times there's people that have reached out to the three of us. Honestly, I do if I'm correct about asking questions about what is happening and what is going on. So I thought maybe it would be a great idea for us to take this opportunity and kind of talk about what's going on and kind of highlight how we as BTMO see it affecting us in our community and how we best can move forward and helping ourselves and our brothers and sisters through this time right now here in Ohio. So if we all do know, back in December, our governor DeWine, um, he vetoed House Bill 68, but our Republican folks decided that they didn't like that, and so they vetoed him. Which I didn't know that was a thing. I'm learning more and more about politics, like everybody else right now, because I didn't think that was possible. So with him vetoing that, pretty much, and then I just want to give a quick background about what HB 68 does. It is banning gender affirming care for people under the age of 18. What that means is like they puberty blockers, gender affirming hormone therapy, and surgery. I mean, there's a lot of questions because like some of the questions I have and they don't have answers for. Like, does that include mental health? Right, if they can go see a social worker, if they can, just talk to a teacher, because there's gender affirming care is so broad, right? It's not one little thing, but they kind of have it in their mind. For my belief, that is just centered around like the puberty blockers and surgery and hormones. When gender affirming care is so much more than that overall, and that's just coming from me as a trans person receiving gender affirming care, right? Um, and just I just wanted to also highlight a few of the I know questions that are out there. Um, I'm also going to share my resources where I'm getting all my information. But if you see me looking over, that's because I'm reading. Uh, Basically, just to kind of answer one of the popular questions, one of the most questions is, um, these do affect the youth that are going to start receiving hormones. Those who are currently receiving it now are pretty much grandfathered in and okay. Right. Um, let's see. And let me make sure I'm hitting all the points I wanted to hit. So some of the questions too was, when does this take effect? This takes effect April 24th. So between now and April 24th, where whoever starts care pretty much is the loophole. Whoever starts care within this time can or pretty much grandfathered in, quote unquote. But this bill in itself, I feel like is dangerous and is like what is it, like a precursor, for lack of better words, because I suck at those, um, to attacking us adults, right? Just transgender folks altogether. Like this was just, you know, their way of attacking us and getting to us all. But before I move to the next one, do you guys have anything y'all want to add in or say?
Um, I don't know if I'm 100% about this, but I do believe, if I understand correctly, this does not include um, mental health resources. So, in terms of like therapy, and let me again preface and say, I'm not 100% on that, but I do believe I understand that this does not include mental health resources. So, I do believe that people will still have the ability to speak to therapists. I don't want to get too deep into that because I know that there's like laws and protections around like what people talk to their therapists about. So I don't believe they would be able to infringe upon that without um, breaking too many laws, if you will.
Yeah.
So we can also circle back. I think we're probably going to try to put together some resources for people to be able to see all of this in one place. But I just wanted to make that clear, that I do believe if I can get the answer to that before the end of the live, I'll let you guys know.
Real quick before Eric taps in, I'm going to share our link tree. It's going to be in the upper corner. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe we'll see. If you go to our link tree, BTMO's link tree, the QR code is right here. We do have a list of our the resources that are out here. The article that I'm actually referring to is there as well. Um, so all that information is there to help those who are that need that's in the need, right? But yeah, so I went ahead and shared our link tree there because I have that type of information there as well, for those who need it and is looking for it. But Eric, do you have anything you can add?
Um, I pulled up the House Bill number 68 specifically. I downloaded it and everything. So I'm reading through it right now to kind of see if there is any mention of like mental health. Um, because that's a really important point to make. Like, if they're limiting mental health services, that's a whole Pandora's box. Um, and it just really would be disappointing to see, honestly, just the rights of parents to support their children be limited so drastically. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So Aaron Upchurch from Hewitt from KYC, the director of KYC, chimed in on our Facebook. She says it's a nuance around therapy and depends on the practitioner. and it depends on the diagnosis, etc. Um, so again, this that's why I feel me personally. I feel like this is just so vast, right? And it's so touchy to where it's all based off of somebody else's opinion and how they interpret it, right? And how they see things. And I feel like that's what makes this even more dangerous because we see it one way. Like I see our it's all based off perception in a way, right? How I read the words and then how somebody else turns around and comes and reads the words is, all going to be different. And that can be dangerous to a person, right? To a child, to an adult, to anybody. Um, but yeah, so we're trying to stay in the know of what's going on, to get it out there and share with people. But as of right now, nothing has changed as of now, except for a few except for what Governor DeWine has put into place. So let me go ahead and transition to that real quick. He has put in executive orders right now, basically saying that minors cannot receive gender affirming surgeries. They couldn't in the first place. like, like he didn't implement anything that wasn't already there, right? It's pretty much kind of like when I read that, I was like, that's kind of like saying, how they're right now they're trying to put in bills saying that like we was to tap into the drag bill that they're trying, right? They're trying to say, minors can't go into drag because it's like sexualized. No shit, Sherlock. Like no adult is gonna allow kids to go see nudity, right? Like just that doesn't happen, right? So that's kind of like how I feel like this falls into play as well when it comes to uh when it pretty much comes into surgeries for children, right? For minors. Like that's like the very, very last step, and they really leave it up to them once they become adults. Like they'll honestly, like from what I've seen, what I've researched a lot, and those I've spoken to within our community, when a young person discovers the feels trans as a youth, it's not until they're 18 plus that they actually go and have any type of surgeries. It's very, very, very rare. It's like below 1%. Like it's a real minute number who actually get any type of surgeries before the age of 18. And even then, it's still not, they're not 6 or 7 years old when this happens. Right.
I mean, the same thing is happening just in general with when we're talking about sexuality in general when it comes to children.
Mhm,
Even it's repeating the same cycle of not teaching children about their bodies and about sex. They the government would prefer we teach them abstinence, which doesn't help, instead of giving them the full range of information that they can have when
mhm,
it comes to sex and their reproductive bodies. When you limit their education, they go and do whatever the heck they want to do with no kind of understanding about what the consequences are, what that means for their bodies. When you limit trans kids on mental health, on even on medical, the hormone blockers, you
mhm,
limit their education around what's possible for their bodies. So they're more likely to go once they hit 18 to try and go get every surgery, not really having an understanding of whether or not that's what they really want, because they haven't gotten the therapy
mhm,
behind understanding what that means for themselves, whether or not they are actually okay with their bodies without surgery, and they just would prefer the presentation be different. We know of a person who got top surgery and was very much hesitant about, like, they did not feel well educated around that
yeah,
decision, and they regretted it.
yeah,
And wouldn't they have been better suited to have gone through the process of talking to someone who could help them figure that out while they were pre teen, when they were able to live in their body and not necessarily be eligible for surgery? You're kind of forced to sit and reconcile a bit of that while measuring the consequences or the pros and cons around, do I go get this surgery? Do I really want this surgery? Is this something that I feel pressured to do because I'm identifying as a trans person?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think those are all really, really valid points. Um, and I think, while, I'm no politician or, I'm no scholar or medical professional or what have you, but I think lived experience counts for something, right? And I think, three of us, as well as probably our core audience, um, all have that. And I think what's happening here, and to kind of echo or piggyback off of what Eric is saying, like we are pushing people into detrimental waters. I think this is not only detrimental because of, first of all, the fact that you're taking decisions away from parents. That's number one. And number two, that you are over and over stepping on people's agency in regard to their own bodies. Um, I think that it also, when people are in a corner, when they're backed into a corner, they're backed up against the wall, they make very much survival decisions. While survival is, that is human nature, and it's something that we all have the instinct to operate out of, but it is meant for a certain space. Your survival mechanism should not be meant for everyday life. And I think that is where we are taking the youth. And I think subsequently, like you said, Chris, earlier in this conversation, that this is a precursor. This is they are taking the temperature of the community to see how much they can get away with. Because, this time it might be uh, they eat a couple chips out the bag, and the next time they're going to take the whole plate. You know what I'm saying? This is, let's see how they react to this. So um, when we spark this firecracker, let's see what the fallout is, because then we can drop the bomb. And I think that's the scary part of all this, especially being inside of an election year. Every every politician has to have a platform to run on. They got to get folks involved, and I mean, let's be honest. Like, this is a very highly volatile, a very highly sought after subject matter right now. And this is a way for people to make and break their careers, with no regard to the folks that are standing in the middle and getting mowed down, and the people that may even die, like cease to exist. And that is like the reality of it all, because when we start pushing people into their survival mechanism, they either going to sink or swim. And everybody is not always lucky. Everybody doesn't always have support. It's already difficult here doing what we're doing, right? And being who we're being. But then you go and take away the resources that we do have to at least have some conversations around, and to bring a light into a dark place that most people don't understand. We are literally right now setting up the next generation for failure. And this is probably the most angry that I have been. This is probably the most fearful I have ever been in my entire existence as a human being around this. And that worries me, because I don't get uneasy easy. And what is in the pit of my stomach right now lets me know that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and that is what is scaring me. That is what is that I'm carrying around on a daily basis. Like I don't know, you know, what we don't have an idea of how bad this can really get.
And I'm gonna say this, like what you said, kind of triggered some thoughts for me as well. Kind of something I was gonna bring up a little bit later, but it's just history repeating itself in a huge way that I don't think we recognize because we weren't really not really taught it, right? And not many of us know the actual history of LGBT or LGB in the United States, right? Right now, this honestly, from the little bit of research that I've had time to look into prior to any of this starting, right? Because I need to go back and go look at videos again that I had watched before. This is them just repeating everything they did for gay and lesbian people back in the 1900s, right? It's funny. I just wanted to say that because it's funny, but because we were all born then, da da da, kids. But but again, because gay people couldn't work, gay people couldn't work for the government, right? They were saying that they couldn't use the bathrooms and stuff like that. Like they had all these things pretty much demonizing uh gay people, and they're turning around and doing the same thing to trans people now, right? We are their new target because they just constantly need a target, and how they're doing it is they're starting with our kids, right? They're starting with, because before, I believe, even still, you could say that they were saying that gay guys were attacking kids. What are they saying with trans people? They're attacking kids, right? It just sounds like the same thing that's happening again, right? They're doing the same thing again. Like people are going to, you know, turn kids gay. Now they're going to turn kids trans, right? The trans agenda, the gay agenda, right? So all of this is just history in repeat, period. And yeah, that's my thought on that, right? But real quick, I also wanted to touch on one more thing, and I'm going to kind of open the floor a little bit more for conversation. I wanted to bring up Governor DeWine's executive order that he put in, the emergency order that he put in. Uh, Basically, he signed an emergency order that bans surgery for minors and instructs Ohio Department of Health and Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services to make rules regulating gender affirming care for both minors and adults. Right, and that's the part that really becomes dangerous and kind of affects us adults more so when we really start chiming in, is because it's affecting us as well, right? I mean, the hidden, that's what I feel like now. That's this this the HB 68 was the doorway for this next one, right? So from the people that I talked to, they did say this. I'm going to make sure I say this. This is his orders, and these rules are not law yet, right? So, and there are people that's out here that's fighting it, and not to panic just yet, right? Because honestly, I literally was on a call Friday, me personally, myself, on a call Friday with several organizations, and I was, privileged to be on that call, hearing all the things that they're doing, from ACLU, Equality Ohio, Trans Ohio, KYC Aaron. Like, there's so many people out there that's doing so much right now that's fighting against what's happening for us, right? To where it's like, we may not be in that fight, but there's people out there fighting for us, right? So whenever they're like, we need you to do something to help us, to show them the numbers to fight, we are there, right? Because this is affecting us, and we don't want it to affect our generations. Because again, that's the thought that I had too, was like you were saying, it affect future generations. But think about that too, where what they did to gay people back in the day and where we're at now today, because of the fight that the people are doing now, right? So they can, that's why I feel like they might be doing this fight towards trans people, but they're not going to win, because they're trying to do the same thing they did before, and we're not going to let that happen because of rules and stuff that was implemented when they tried to do it to just gay folk in general, right?
Yeah.
And I do want to admit, like, I don't want to bypass this. Aaron did drop a little bit more details on House Bill 68. It was too much for me to share on the screen, but if you're watching on Facebook, jump into the our comment section and read what she put there. She pretty much broke it down for us a little bit on there, and that's why, appreciate it. That's why we're a team here, a community, because we're trying to get the message out there. We're trying to get everybody out there and in the know so they have knowledge of what's going on and not being blind, because the more people that know, the more chances we're going to be able to overturn what they're trying to do and not let them win. Right. uh, so so I just want to also touch on what his rules are, and then I'm going to turn it over for all of us to say. The proposed rules, the first one is forbids gender affirming care for trans people 20 years old and under, and restricts bottom surgeries for trans people in Ohio. The second one is reporting gender related condition diagnosis and gender transition care. Right. Those two things I feel like are dangerous, right? Because now they wanting to report who we are and make a record of it. Right. Because I feel like that falls in the HIPAA, like what information, like it's more than just saying I'm a number, like, oh, we have one new trans person. But if you're saying we have this new trans guy named Chris that's coming in, we don't need that as record, right? So that's my biggest worry when on that second rule. And then his executive order, like I said, that's in, it forbids gender affirming care surgeries for trans people 17 and under, right? Um, and these right now are valid for 120 days, which this was set back, I believe, in that cusp between after right after Christmas, after he overturned. So these are in law only until May 4th, which he can either create a new executive order again, or it can be finalized by uh, the Department of Health, Mental Health, Addiction Services. Right, they can make it into rules too, implementing it there. So as long as those things don't happen, his orders between the surgeries against kids that are it's not happening, and reporting gender related conditions and diagnoses is, um, as long as it come to May 4th, those won't be a thing, right? But so I just wanted to cover those things because I feel like those are like the major things that's happening and that's in discussion right now that kind of affects us all directly. So I just want to let y'all chime in, and I'm gonna take a drink of water because that was a lot of words.
So real quick, before you get that water, Chris, what I want to do real quick, we have talked about a lot of information sprinkled in with our own personal opinions really quickly. So what I want to do is I want to create some clear lines for folks. Um, let's go back really quickly. What you just talked about were the administrative rules, which is separate from House Bill 68. House Bill
Yes.
68 targets youth. Can you do me a favor and uh, specify the age range on House Bill 68 for me when we talk about youth?
Let's see. For youth, like if we tap in, actually, let me go ahead and go to
Or excuse
Aaron's
me,
comment.
minors. Minors is the term. I want to make sure that we're getting this right. So by the word minors, I am presuming they're talking about folks 18 and under. Aaron, if you're still hanging out with us, it would be great if you could give me a thumbs up and let me know if I am, because I don't want to be spreading misinformation around this at all.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of tap in what she don't really specify age, but it says from the different things that I've read, I'm looking at things. It says the youth under 18 must have consent from parents and guardians to receive mental health care, including diagnosis, treatment, and so-called gender related condition. The law also requires that mental health professionals screen youth under the age of 18 for other mental health conditions before diagnosing or treating them for gender related conditions. So what I
Okay.
want to do here as well. Yeah, she said 17 and under, up to
Yeah,
17.
so
Yeah,
it's not
looking
18
at
and
that.
under, it's 17 and under, which,
Mhm.
and the reason that I'm trying to create these clear lines is because I know as a person who's been on a couple calls and listened to this information, if it's your first time hearing this, all of it is going like this. I promise you,
Yeah.
that's what's happening right now. So
Yes.
what
Okay.
I wanted to just quickly create some clear lines that House Bill 68 is centered around ensuring that we are that it's targeted toward youth 17 and under, which has just been confirmed for us, right?
Mhm.
Um, again, like you said before, if you want to jump in the chat, Aaron has been so kind to drop the bullet points around House Bill 68, the all of the regulations or the policy that they have signed into law that will be a law as of April 24th of 2024. I just want to clear that up.
Mhm.
The
I'm
other
also
part
gonna.
of that you went over was the administrative rules. That is a different thing targeted toward a different group
Correct.
for in terms, but that is already signed as an executive order. Is that correct?
Correct.
I want to
Correct.
clarify all of that. So that's
Correct.
signed as an executive order. Um, and it looks like you're dropping information in the chat of what is what. Is that correct? Is that what I see coming up?
Yes, yes. The first thing that I dropped in the chat is kind of what I'm sharing on the screen now. The Ohio Resource Guide that was created by another partner that we have, the Southern Equality organization. We actually, as a community, like I said, we're all trying to help everybody out. So we've partnered with them. They've helped youth in the southern states get assistance for the things that have been banned, and they are helping us here in Ohio now as well, right? So I dropped that resource link for everybody in the chat for that first one, and then the second one that I share is the Ohio Trans Proposed Rules, right? So that's the second one, the one from Governor DeWine, the rules that he's trying to implement as well. So that's
Correct.
where I got all my information that I'm sharing. These is where I like to come with receipts. So these are my receipts of where I got my information. Right. I want to make sure, like I said, I read one thing and y'all can go back and read it and understand it for yourself. Because sometimes we all learn differently, right? So I just want to make sure we all have this information as well to read for ourselves and know for ourselves, and to read 3-4 times, what we need to take it in, right? So I just wanted to kind of share these as well. And again, like I said, a lot of this is on our link tree as well. So if you click on the QR code in the corner, you'll be able to access these as well. And also the Southern Trans Youth. I just want to throw out this plug. I was going to say this in the end, but there are other resources. There is emergency funds out there to help the youth as well, who feel like they need to relocate because of these situations. We are doing what we can to help those who feel that is necessary as well. Um, but yeah, so I just wanted to share that with us real quick. First time using screen share on here. I feel like a techie, but it's fine.
It's you. Do you feel accomplished?
I feel accomplished. I can get this.
I just want to affirm you in this moment and tell you that I'm extremely proud of you. Um, because I know it's tough running this and facilitating. So you're doing your thing. Shout out.
Thank you.
Um, okay. So if we get nothing else out of that conversation, we've dropped Chris has actually dropped a lot of information here in the chat for you guys. If you want to know something, it'll be here. This is gonna go up and it'll be stuck here. So what I think that if you don't walk away from anything else with this conversation, is that there's two sets of rules right now, and you need to know about them both. Is what it boils down to, and that all of this is time sensitive. So you need to learn about this today, immediately. So that's all I got for that.
Have anything you can add, Eric? Or are you just taking in information?
I'm just taking in information.
Cool, cool.
As y'all know, I'm not very into politics, even when it pertains to my bodily rights, um, because that can be a very heavy topic. And I know a lot of other people feel that way as well. I am very energetically sensitive, so I tend to not really directly pay attention. I'm always indirectly paying attention. I'm a part of this conversation, and this is very much the topic of the conversation. So um, I show up when I can, but in my own personal time, I'm hearing the news, but I'm not actively doing the research, because when I wake up in the morning, I'm still who I am. I'm still a trans person who has to walk through this life. And so sometimes it's a little too heavy for me to pay attention to. I guess I'm here to represent that part of the equation for the people who don't have the bandwidth to give all the time towards these
Mm.
topics and towards this work. Um, but it's very important that we remain informed regardless. Um,
Yeah.
that is one thing I will always seek to be informed, and I appreciate this platform because we are able to share resources like that and have conversations like this. Even just getting a better understanding of what this bill means and what the executive order means, and knowing that those are two different things. Um,
Yes.
like, I want to say I knew that, but to the extent with which I knew, can't say.
Mm.
It was very jumbled for me. So this was really informative.
Yeah.
I appreciate this conversation
Awesome.
at minimum for that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's a good point. And I will say that I will admit too, like this is heavy, right? And I too, like when we got off this call, I'm going to go ahead and do my breathing, do my meditating, do what I have to do to release this energy, right? Because it is a lot. Yeah, at the end of the day, and being upfront. And that's why I do have so much respect and send out so much positive energy out to like all the folks that I listed before that's out here in the fight every day, that's showing up into the courts. Because I've read some of the statements that the anti-trans people have said about us, right? And I'm just like, yo, like where are you getting this from? And then they sound so matter of fact, what makes it even worse. I'm just like, no, and because I'm the type of person, like I like to hear both sides of the story. And that's a lot. And it's heavy to hear both sides, hearing somebody talk down on your name when they don't even know what your name is,
Yeah.
right? Talk about your character and they don't even know like they don't even know that you exist, right?
Making
Just because you
generalizations like,
Yes, just because we fit in this little box that they say that we fit in, we then they have the right to say these things about us, and that's just yeah, it's hard in real life.
it is. It reminds me of this was a random comment I saw on a random video, but this person was talking about how they were complaining about drag queens and dancing and performing for children, right? And they were like, well, not all of us like the way that drag queens show up and do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's probably like drag queens aren't getting naked in front of children. Do you know how much padding they put on to look that way? They're not undoing all of that for children.
Mm-mm.
Not happening. And this is how I know people don't, like, they're so detached from the idea that they should just not even, because you're not a part of the community, you have no idea. And that was kind of my point. You're not a part of the community. You have no idea what drag queens go through to look this way. They're not getting naked in front of children. And this person said, yeah, well, those drag queens, but I'm talking about the ones that dress up and get naked in front of. I'm like, this has never happened. No drag queen has ever stripped in front of a child. You can't tell me that ever happened. No one you know has ever seen that. You've never seen it. It's never happened. It's so frustrating when people are speaking about something they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't even want to go towards it because they're so afraid of it being a reality that they're not willing to face the fact that it's never happened.
They don't want to be wrong.
Right.
They don't want to be wrong. Like they had this notion in their mind and they have this belief in their mind, and for it to come around and be wrong, like no, I can't be wrong about this, right? And I feel like that's a strong American thing, believe it or not, because Americans don't like change,
Mhm.
right? They don't like to be wrong, and both of those things, and that's what we are to them, right? We are that change because they had this binary viewpoint of black and white, man, woman. That's it. There's nothing there's no in between. But telling them that there's this in between, they're like, no, that they what is it? they circuit, like their brain just doesn't, they short circuit. Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening, and they're like, no, this can't be right. So they fighting and doing everything they can, because to them they can't wrap their minds around is bigger. The world is bigger than you,
Yeah.
and not everybody's made the same. Right. And I feel like we say this every week. Like, I feel like we just had this conversation last
We don't
week.
say it every week. We're not.
Like,
This is not a cookie cutter situation.
no.
We are fractal pieces of God. Forgive me for anyone who doesn't believe in God, but I'm going to go there for a second. We're fractal expressions of source, the creator, God, whatever you may believe in. And we came here to have a variety of different experiences. You can't tell me the being that created all things wanted to come here and be the exact same version of itself over and over again in a bunch of different suits. You can't tell me that's what we're doing and that's what we came here to do. And that's what that feels like. That's a limited belief system. I didn't come here to do that.
Man, I you know, and I agree 100% with what y'all are saying. I just want to add on to that and just say that also I think that this dates back to the thought process around how they liken people um, that have that are LGBTQ with sexual deviance. I think that, like, I mean, if you think back even to before, because even now, still, let's be honest, still gay people still have issues. The way that gay people are seen in the world today is not the same way it was 10, 15 years ago, which is not the same way it was 50 years ago, and so on and so forth. Um, but if you look at that pattern, is that if you look at the pattern of not when people are not able to control the way that somebody is changing their body for their own uh, benefit, then it becomes now I have to make you out to be something horrid and something that, like, I have to turn you into a monster and make you less human, right? Um, I
Honestly,
can't even I don't necessarily liken this to the same thing that black people go through, but I mean it is in a way, right? There's some definite similarities to what we deal with as black people, to what we deal with as queer people, to what we deal with as trans people, all of that. There's some overlap there, right? There's some intersectionality there, and that's the truth. And I think that even if you look back at like the three-fifths compromise, because of the color of skin, you became less of a person, right? And that was rooted in because I needed to control the narrative around who you were so that I could tell people that you were a monster so they would be on my side. This is historically the way of this country, period and point case. And with people who are LGBTQ, they often rely on sexual deviance because I don't know when a pedophile became the same thing as gay, like a gay person. I have no idea because if I'm not mistaken, there are adult people that are violating children of the opposite sex. So there's grown men who are violating young women. There are grown women who are violating young men. But it doesn't have anything to do with your sexual preference because we understand pedophilia to be a power play, right? That's totally different. That is something outside of genuine um, connection between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or a non-binary individual and a non-binary individual. But if you notice the way that they speak about when people are even talking about the bathroom bill, because I know that Chris, you got that tucked away. You want to talk about that too. But when we're talking about that, the biggest complaint that we get is, "Oh, I don't want guys to start dressing up as girls and, just using that as an excuse to get in the women's bathroom." What you don't realize is you're not talking about trans women because those are not trans women. Those are opportunistic rapists, is what they are. You see what I'm saying? They are predators, is what they are. And that is not the same thing as a trans individual or an LGBTQ individual. And the problem with that is that even in when we talk about being gay or being lesbian or whatever, we call it sexual orientation. We lead with sex, which is why people there's a lot of people who cannot root relationship in a same-sex situation, right? Like we lead with that. We lead with sex. And even though I understand the difference between like sex assignment and actual sex as an intercourse or being sexual, but when you say sexual orientation, you presume that that relationship is based on sexual contact. That's all that it is. So there's a lot of confusion around that. And then when we talk about trans people, the same thing. Fetishisms, you know what I mean? Because people can't use our body for their benefit. They're not able to control our bodies for their benefit. Then they turn us into deviants and monsters so that they can control the narrative around us. And it's just so important that we begin to get louder. Like Chris said, they're not going to win this war. They're not. The battle may be theirs, but they won't win the war, right? But
Right.
we have to continue to be louder and more informed. And just, I mean, they can't beat us in resilience. That's for sure.
No.
Because, baby, let me tell you something. I'm black, trans, and out here living in this world. Like I'm two of the most hated things in this world right now. It ain't much you could do to scare me. Sorry,
Right.
Yeah.
sorry.
Right.
It's really, it's not. You can't shake us. That we here. It is what it is. But I think one of the things that we can do is begin to start changing the narrative around ourselves. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these. I know Emma Parker does a lot of trans projects. There's a lot of people bringing projects out and things like art to document more than like bringing more breadth to
To
people. But I think
humanize.
we just need to do more in the way of humanization of ourselves and not waiting on them to see it. Because I mean, unfortunately, as a collective, one of the things that scares me most on this earth is white men as a collective. But again, I don't forget that they're individual. They're individuals, right?
Yeah.
So there is a compassion there for that as individuals. However, when they get in a room and they start doing this, it's too much. It's too much. It's not good for nobody. It's not
Yeah.
good for nobody.
It's narrow minded and focused because
It
they've
is.
never had to think outside of that.
Hmm.
They're not forced to because the world is made for them.
Yeah. Especially
And
this
I
one.
just want to real quick highlight this comment. I just seen it pop up from Aaron, who says, go ahead and put that on the screen for me, because I just need everybody to see this. If you're here with us, I just want y'all to know that Erin is one of our biggest advocates. She she looks out for us in so many ways. And she says, you are all perfect, beautiful visionaries who are necessary and on purpose. And I hope that reaches every ear and heart that it's necessary to lay on this evening, because man, I tell you, it's rough out here. And thank you, Aaron, for just
Yes.
having our back and just I mean, that's revolutionary in itself. So
We
thank you
appreciate
for
that
that.
loud Leo love.
Yeah.
Shout out to the loud Leo love.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Kind of just to circle back when you talking about bathroom bills. All right. I was debating if I was gonna bring this one up or not. If I was actually gonna bring up the I don't want to say honorable mentions, but there are some other there are some other
Dishonorable.
bills out,
Dishonorable mentions.
dishonorable mentions. There we go. Some dishonorable mentions out there. Because there, like you said, there is the bathroom bill, there's the drag bill, there's the chaplains in school, internet censorship, and detransitioner awareness day. Yeah, that
Yeah,
I
say
don't
that.
know.
I don't know what that means.
What do you say?
What does that mean?
Detransitioner awareness day, right? So they just none of these are right now. None of these right now have any momentum. They're kind of just sitting on desks right now. That's including the bathroom bill that we kind of been touching on a little bit in the drag. Those currently, as of right now, only thing that they have in focus right now is the gender affirming care and the sports bill. Like I'm not going to fail to mention, House Bill 68 does also address uh, uh, youth playing sports as well. But I can't say that I'm gonna be honest. I'm not fully clear on the ins and outs of that one, because it's more the healthcare affects more people, and I feel like but unfortunately, I feel like they use that part of the bill to pass it. I don't even think it was really the healthcare that they really cared about. It was more of protecting women's sports, quote unquote, with the w- in general. So, but yeah. So again, uh, this is where we are, Ohio. This is what's happening while we're at work, trying to put food on the table and keep our lights on. Right?
Actively plotting against our livelihood for funsies. Like,
Exactly. Instead of out here trying to make our lives better, reducing the cost of milk and gas prices, they are trying to take away our healthcare, right?
I was just having this conversation yesterday at work with a 60-year-old guy, white guy, which is anyway. He's a pretty cool dude. We had this conversation about like the necessity of certain things, like how people perceive. So it was just interesting to have such an open conversation with a 60-year-old white guy. Let's just say
Mhm.
that. And it was, I guess it plays into, and I don't know what you said, Chris, that sparked this in my head. I'll be honest,
That's
but
fine. Me
Chauncey,
neither.
huh?
I said me neither, but go ahead.
When Chauncey mentioned, I might have lost it all. It's fine.
It's okay. It'll come back.
Oh, leaving space for like being afraid of white men, but leaving space for them to be individually accepted is how I'm gonna paraphrase that. Um, it, I had a perception of this one particular guy. He's a pretty quiet dude. Um, and I don't know, it just that conversation changed the way I viewed him. And it would just be nice if there was like, I want to say this in a way that doesn't sound like dictatorish, but I feel like people should be put into positions to interact with people that they would never have the opportunity to interact with,
Hmm.
um, because you never know how one conversation with a person could change your perception of so much if you're willing and open to it. Obviously, if you're not open to being swayed in any way at all whatsoever, it doesn't matter. You're going to fight it. But
And again, I feel like that falls into the humanization, right? Because I feel like so many viewpoints and minds change once you can see a human being, right? Because even this makes me even think back to the whole immigration thing as well, right? How everybody's demonizing immigrants, right? Want to deport them, and then it hits them that they're talking about deporting their landscaper, the people that are fixing their roofs. They're like, hold on, wait. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is.
yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Right? They just don't think because they're so like focused. They don't think about it. Right? They don't humanize it because it's just immigrants. I don't know any immigrants, but you do.
They don't think about the way it affects not only their lives, but the
Hmm.
lives of the people that they pay to do the work that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But damn all that, damn the work. These people have families.
Hmm.
They got kids in school. They got wives, husbands. You know what I'm saying? They got, cousins, brothers. aunties, uncles, grandmothers. You know what I'm saying? Like this ain't about looking at people and like their utility here in this country. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I mean, to your point, the truth of the matter is there's certain shit that most Americans at this point are not doing. I was actually just having this conversation really recently around if you look at I remember like growing up and I remember when black faces were most of what I seen at like fast food restaurants. But there has been a major shift. I see way more Latino faces in fast food restaurants now. And this is like not a knock or anything. This is just an observation. You know what I'm saying? Because there are certain jobs that are not, that's just one example, but there are certain jobs that we are not doing. When I'm looking at my office building, the cleaning crews are typically mostly Latino when they used to be mostly black.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there is a shift happening. And again, let me be clear, this is not a knock, this is just an observation. But the truth of the matter is it's not about the utility of these people, because these people, when you look at them in their face and you speak to them or you have conversations with them, they have children, they have families. You know what I'm saying? I work with a dude right now who actually he's from Nigeria, I believe, and his father just passed, but his whole like his wife and his son is in Nigeria. He over here working, you know what I'm saying, trying to bring them over. You know what I'm saying? So, but they're giving him flack about having to fly back every few months, you know, to check on his family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if it does not resonate with you, so the people that make the rules, they're not experiencing the same thing that the other people deal with. It's just like if you've ever been working in a situation and you'll notice that most of, like, for instance, like black women, if they're late because they got to drop their kids off at school, or you know, or maybe they're the only parent and they got to go pick up their child from school, they may not have a helpmate. If you look at hierarchy in corporate America, a lot of times white folks don't understand that because their home life is different. You know what I'm saying? So they make rules based off of what is comfortable and known to them, and that just brings back to your point of being in the same room or getting to know people on a different level and understand culturally this is not going to be the same thing because my needs are different, and this is where equity comes in and not just equality, because equity is important because what works for you might not be quite enough for me. You see what I'm saying? If I'm a single parent and you have two parents in your home, and this is not just for like different races, this is literally like a home is going to run differently if you have one parent versus two. That's just bottom line. If you don't got no help, it's all on you. You know, we actually deal with that, you know, right now in our personal circle. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't have help, to be able, you have to be able to adjust your heart. You got to be crazy to look at somebody and be like, well, you just need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and make it work. But you over there with a, you got a stay at home wife, you got a salary that is enough to take care of you and your family. You know what I'm saying? Your kids are in decent schools, you know, and you want to look at the young sister over here who's raising her two or three kids alone. You know what I'm saying? And she's getting called away. So now she's getting infractions on her attendance. And then she mess around and lose this good job because y'all are not, you think that it has something to do with just being lazy or just being not dependable. But the young sister doesn't have resources to help her because she makes too much to get help with childcare, but not enough to really pay for it on her own. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But in order to adjust these things, it can't just be adjustment in law. We have to learn, like we have to change our hearts and our minds. And in order to do that, I just wanted to like really highlight that part of it is getting to know people as humans. Because when you do that, it helps you when you get ready to sit down and write a law. Now you're not just writing a law for a certain subset of people. Now you know Charles. Now you know Ashley or Denise. You know what I'm saying? Like now you know
Mhm.
a sister or a brother that's dealing with something that you're
Yeah.
like, well, if I agree with this, this is like me saying that I don't care about your situation.
Mhm.
And this is also where visibility comes in because visibility is not just here, right? It's in these conversations behind closed doors. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox right now.
That's a
That
great
was really
point,
just what it was for me though.
because that actually brings up, and I'm going kind of outside the topic, but a video I saw most recently that was talking about how people with ADHD suffer from certain um, traits, characteristics that other people view as personal failings. So when you look at a person who has ADHD who can't necessarily organize themselves, or they're not like, time management is really bad, people who are neurotypical or not don't have to suffer with those neurological things will see that as a personal failing and judge you for it, when it's something your brain literally doesn't do the same as other people's brains.
Right.
And it's very similar to this situation. Like, you can't judge people based off of how you live your life, because you don't
Mhm.
know what's necessary for them to survive. My sister
Yeah.
does really well with 6 kids because she has the support of my mom and the
Mhm.
support of her partner. I know another woman who's a single mother with 4 kids, and she does the best that she can. She just moved here. She has no support, you know?
Mhm.
So she's dealing with her own bag of stuff. Those two different situations are going to be handled in two different ways, and they're going to need different kinds of support and different levels of support.
Mhm.
You can't compare them to each other and go, well, they're both perceivably, from paper standpoints, they're both single parents with a certain amount of children. So
Yeah.
they're both going to need this. They're not. It needs to be tailored to, because some of those kids are going to need certain things. Some of them aren't. Some are going to be different ages. Some of them are going to need to go to school. Some of them are going to need to go to preschool. Nothing's going to be just, here's a bag of stuff, make it work.
No one size fits all, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And and kind of exactly with all that is kind of I kind of want to see if I can let's see if I can work some magic and circle us back to the topic, right?
Let's go.
Because everything y'all talking about, right, it's something that we need, right? Something that needs to be done, but they're more worried about who's using what bathroom,
Yeah.
right? That's more concerning than trying to help make sure everybody eats.
Well, that's because the goal is not to serve the people. That's not the
Yeah,
goal here.
yeah, it's the
It's
distracts.
just not. It's
Yeah,
it's to control, but not to serve.
Control.
yeah, yeah.
So when we think of it and we like, well, this is what we really need to do. I mean, what we really need to do is we need to be running for city council. What we really need to be do is we need to be running for office. What we really need to do is make sure that we're showing up and showing out like where all of this policy and stuff is being put in place. You know what I'm
I'll vote for
saying?
you, bro. Don't worry about it. I got you. Just
No,
go ahead and
don't
let
you
me know.
worry
I'm
about
gonna
it
vote
because
for
let me
you.
tell you something about me. You and Larry got to worry about me being nobody politician. I
I got
support. I listen. I'll
you.
be
Got me,
right
bro.
in there. I ain't the one. No, 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 no,
He
no,
said, what
no.
we really need to do is be
Y'all not gonna
bipartisan.
be looking
He
at my
said, but not
Facebook
me though.
page back in 2007. Y'all not about to go get my MySpace and downlink information. Y'all not about to do that to me. Got my Black Planet on blast. We not doing that.
Find all kinds of stuff.
We not doing that. No, but I mean seriously though, like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like I'm a big proponent of like don't. I mean, fuck they table, man. Let's build our own table. But I do understand that you got to sit at certain tables in order to learn certain things because there's questions that we don't even know to ask. There's information that we don't even know exists. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
we just got to be more. And even this conversation has been, has made me like chastise myself. Like you got to just be more involved. You know, even on the bathroom bill, we got to know because if that's going to be a law, and it comes down to a situation where we could be put in possible legal situation, getting arrested, that's a whole nother. You know what I mean?
Bro, I'm telling you, what we got to do. We got to do my protest that I was telling you about this weekend. We just do that
Oh, just
protest
go in the women's
idea that I
bathroom, wash
had,
our hands.
and we ain't got to worry about it.
I'm
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. Just imagine the three of us walking into a women's bathroom right now. Just come on.
Yeah,
Cause I gonna tell how many
we got to do it
times
in
before I
Dublin though.
transitioned,
We
I
got to
was
do it in
told I was
Dublin though.
We going
We got to
we
do it
going to
in
Westerville.
Dublin,
We going
right.
to Dublin. We going
Westerville.
to Hilliard.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
going to
yeah.
Worthington.
Yes,
We gonna go in them real
Mm.
yes.
nice random mall in
Because
Worthington. Kind
listen,
of
how many
street.
times before right, yeah. So how many times before y'all transitioned, y'all went into a women's bathroom and they was told you was in the wrong one before you even thought about transitioning? I can count that on more than I need two hands to count for that. How many times that's happened to me before I
That's
even
not
knew what
really
transgender was.
You know, I didn't have a lot of people that spoke out, but I
And
got a
so
lot of stares. I got a lot of eyeballs.
I didn't get
yeah, yeah. So and because that's my biggest thing. Like I always think about just in general doing a social experiment, right? Me and a beautiful trans woman go into a woman's bathroom right now, and let's see which one who they say is in the wrong one based off
So
of their
based off of our
beliefs.
genitals, which one of us do you think is supposed to be here? Fully clothed in
Because you
front of
mean
you.
look
Which one?
exactly because you don't see my genitals while I'm washing my hands.
Right.
You see my face with this facial hair on it and this deep ass voice, right? This masculine appearance. And you see this beautiful woman beside me with her hair done, all this up, glammed out and shit. But you gonna say she's in the wrong place, but I'm not.
Right.
Because you're worried about the safety of a man being in a woman's bathroom.
We should be taking
Okay.
pictures of
Well, if
trans
first
I'm
of
that
all, if we're
man.
doing bathrooms right, nobody should be seeing anybody's genitals unless it's by choice. If we're doing bathrooms right, let's be clear, right? Like because
just be standing in
why? Why would you ever? Secondly, if we're doing humanism right, we should be able to have co-ed bathrooms and we exist as adults should without any problem anyway. Like not every dude is going in the bathroom to violate a woman or even vice versa because that happens too.
hmm
But I don't know how many times that I've been
Mhm.
out, like even in the recent of my life, like I've been out at events, you know what I'm saying? Like and the men's bathroom may be full and I might run in there and run in, no issue. Or I've seen women in clubs and things come into the men's bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Mhm.
don't nobody be bothering nobody. Now, yes, there is an opportunity for shit to go on, which is disgusting in itself. But again, just like the conversation around guns, it's not the people who are doing the shit the right way that are causing the issues. So if you have an individual that wants to cause an issue, a man that's putting on a dress to go
Mhm.
into a bathroom to violate a woman, that is again, that is a predator. That is not the same thing as a trans individual. It's not. You know, or even a man who just has to go to the
Exactly.
bathroom really bad and doesn't have the ability to get into the men's bathroom and just needs to use a stall in the woman's bathroom. That is not a predator. That is an individual trying not to relieve himself in the public. It's what it is,
On him
right?
on
Trying
himself.
not to.
So I'm just saying, like it's
Because the
it's
thing is
it's
though, right?
wild that we have to think, how can we not conduct
Mhm.
ourselves as respectable human beings that we gotta put into law a
Yeah.
bathroom bill.
Yeah. And the thing is too, my thing is like we all, every person, every single person has a all gender bathroom.
In your
Is your
house.
bathroom at your house?
In
Like,
your house is an all gender bathroom at all
all gender
times.
bathroom.
What's the problem?
Yeah. But yeah. So
Speaking
uh yeah, speaking of. But all right. So this was We lost it. I thought you was, I thought you was
I'm
going.
out of here.
I was about to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, yeah. um, real quick, I kind of want to start. Let me bring us back again. Let me bring us back when we're speaking of resources. I just want to say there are like we said, there we are a community, right? We are at these tables, we are having these conversations. So there has been resources out there created for us in these times, especially for our youth. The Southern Trans Youth Emergency Project has rapid relief emergency funds up to $500 available for families impacted by the gender affirming care ban. That money can be used to like for gas, just to go to the next state that's safe, you know, where they feel they're going to be safe, to get care elsewhere if need be. And then also Trans Ohio, locally here, Trans Ohio, they have also created, started an emergency fund for the youth as well if they need to get the care that they need or access the care or do the move or whatever that it is that they need to do for safety. And I will say, from my question that was answered was you can get both, right? Like they're both available to those who need it, so you could take opportunity there. And then you can also apply more than once if necessary. I believe there's a time gap. I believe it's 90 days, 6 months, depending on which one it is, but you are able to reapply again. If you want that information of how to get that, again, that's going to be on our link tree. So just hop on our link tree and you can get those links to apply for those apply for those grants as well. And there's going to be a lot more out there. There's going to be a lot more help and assistance. We're a family, you know, we're a village, and we're going to take care of our own, right? Especially our kids and their parents, right? There's support groups as well if you want to if you need somebody to talk to. Trans Ohio has their care connect warm line to where you can talk or just talk to somebody, because like we said, this is hard, right? This is a lot going on right now. If you just need somebody to talk to that kind of understands, or just needs just somebody to listen to right now because it's tough, Trans Ohio created this hotline right here to talk on. And then two, if you're in a situation where you're stuck in a lease or what have you, have legal questions, you can reach out to our partners at Equality Ohio. They have the lingo clinic there to help answer any questions there. They're abreast of this conversation and what's going on. They're in the midst of all of this fight as well. So take down their number. And again, on our link tree, we have a link to their intake form there too. So these are just some quick resources I wanted to make sure everybody had in their tool belt if necessary, to either, if you don't need it, you know somebody that does, right? Like I personally don't need it, but I know that y'all do. Somebody out there that's listening right now that knows somebody that needs it, right? Was it 5 degrees of separation, something like that, right? Somebody we know needs it. So make sure you have it available where you can get it. Like you can go to our Instagram, our Facebook, click on our link tree. Is listed there. We're going to try to share as much as often as possible on all the things. So I like to say, on all the things, we're going to have it out there available to you. And the more that we get, the more that we're going to share and make sure that you have it, right? Because we got to take care of our own, right? We got to take care of each other. So, and that's what we're trying to do here. So before I wrap this up, do you guys have anything additional y'all want to add?
I just need to ask, did you highlight KYC as well?
Yeah, I did not, but KYC, yes, for sure. Like, it's on. If you go to our link tree, you can at the bottom you'll see KYC. There, they have the support groups for the kids. They have they have everything. Like, it was too much. I couldn't figure out how, like, ADHD kicked in because they have
Oh,
so
you
much.
you fine. That's why, I mean, that's why we got, you know, three minds. You know what I'm saying? Is
Right?
better than one.
Because
So I
listen,
just wanted to make sure, because
yeah,
they're literally the one organization in the state that specifically focuses on our youth,
yes, yes,
up to 24. But right now we know that a lot of this HB 68 is affecting 17 and under. So they are a
yeah,
great resource too.
yes.
And again, like Chris said, you can check them out from our link tree. Wherever our link is, you can go there, our link tree, and get all of these resources, including KYC.
and it's just kycohio.org. You could just jump on, get to their website. They have a lot of resources. They have a support group. I believe they have, even for the youth, for the kids, just in themselves, they do have like their drop-in hours. They do have their Discord. They know how to talk to the youth, unlike me. I have at least two to three of them in my house, and I'm still, I get cussed out on a regular basis because I'm doing it wrong. But
Mm,
they do. I got cussed out today. We'll talk about it later when
mm.
we talk about parenting. But they're exactly, they're there for the youth. They're there to help. Definitely, they're doing a great job at it, and I fully support them. They know we're a phone call away if they ever need us, right? Um, but again, yeah, drop the link for KYC there and just check them out. Anybody have anything else?
Man, just keep y'all head up out there, man. Keep
Yeah,
y'all head up, and
uh,
just know. I know this sounds cliche. This too shall pass, though. Like ain't no way, ain't no way.
yeah,
We gonna be good. We gonna go through something, but we gonna be good. We
Keep
gonna be
that self
good.
care going. Whatever you do to take care of yourself, take your moments of peace when you can. Whatever you need to gain clarity and like reset your energy, make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're resting. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, especially if you're like on the front lines of this work. You need
yes,
that rest. This is difficult work and it can be very taxing on your soul. And that soul needs some cleansing and some refreshing. Do not forget to do that, please. Do not forget to do that.
I feel like he was talking directly to me, so thank you.
Earth
I
signs.
appreciate that.
Them Virgos be ready to make lists and do all the things with them Capricorns.
Man, I wish I could see my I wish I could see my dry erase board right now.
I'm talking about me and my list.
Right.
Um,
All the things.
write it down, right?
Making a list right now.
All right. He was like, "Hey, bro, if you need me to handle the controls," and like, "No, I got my PowerPoints. I got my share screen, all that." There you go. About business. All right. But again, um, that kind of just one. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Like again, if you don't follow us already, follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, the Tickety Talk. We're still trying to figure that out, but bear with us. I'm old. Okay. I'm gonna admit that right now, but I'm on there and I like seeing. Okay, YouTube, we're on there as well. Check out our website, btmohio.org. We do still have our support groups. So we do have our support group. They're both. We found out it's gonna actually be. It's a special month, so both our support groups gonna be in the same week. Uh, the in person is gonna be Monday the 12th, and then the online Zoom is gonna be Thursday the 15th this month. Okay, so if you need help, if you need the space, you need the time, you have questions, um, just tune in and show up. And if you have more information you could share with us as well, so we can keep our community informed, please message us. We're open, right? Between business hours of 9 to 5. Sometimes we might get you after hours, but we'll try our best, no promises. But
I didn't even know we
feel
had business
free
hours.
to go ahead and reach out, let us know any information as well. We don't have business hours. I made that up. Like we don't. We don't have business hours. Just know that
Trying to
I'm
make
in
it
bed
sound
by 10
fancy.
p.m. So if you don't hear from me,
And I'm learning
I
new
know
things already.
we don't. We don't. I'm gonna be honest. We don't. My bedtime is
Oh,
10 p.m. So if you don't hear from me after that, that's why. Uh,
okay. Hey, I do want to say one thing real quick. I know at one
yeah.
point we were highlighting looking for an intern to work with us on social media because as you can see, the old folks refer to it as the tickety talk. So if there's a young folk out there that is interested, a young black trans mask folk, or actually, I think all are welcome to apply. Am I right or no? No, I
All
need to find out the
uh,
parameter on that.
BIPOC. All
BIPOC.
masculine center BIPOC is open. Uh, the internship is open to them. To
Copy
BIPOC
that. Copy that.
masculine of center.
So
individual.
BIPOC, masculine of center, individual that is interested and might be interested in logging some hours in the way of helping us hone our social media pages. Please reach out to any of us. You can reach us on all the socials. Um, Instagram, Facebook, and the tickety. Well, we're still working on the tickety talk, so I wouldn't depend on that. So
Facebook.
yeah, IG and Facebook is the best way to get in contact with us, or you can email us, of course, at the admin at btmo.org. So we love to hear from you. If you're not interested, but you know somebody that might be, please spread the word.
Yes, yes. All
Grateful
right.
for y'all joining us. Grateful for the conversation.
Thank you. And again, I want to shout out Aaron again. Thank you so much for helping us out and getting us right and sharing this information because even though this information, having the wrong information is just as bad, right? So we want to make sure everybody has the right information out there. So if we were wrong at any point, anybody says that, nope, that's not right, let us know so we can come back and correct it. Because we don't want you out here telling people wrong, right? We don't want to be out here telling people wrong either. So again, I want to say thank you everybody who tuned in, listened to us, jabber on as we do. I appreciate you joining us on this wonderful Sunday evening, and we'll see you again, same time, same place next month. All right, take care.